Hello, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in. Ivor Chester, your balance coach. Really good to speak to you again. Today, we're going to continue on the theme that was started yesterday with the events happening in our life with Joanne, who is beginning the end of her journey here on Earth. As she continues that, and she has not yet left, but it has made us start to analyze what we're doing in our life, both my wife and I. I think it might even have, of course, an effect on the kids. And from the outreach that the previous video got, and a lot of the feedback that I have received, which has been overwhelming and very positive, it seems to be something that people all are wrestling with, which is how we spend our time. How do we manage the moments we're given here? What is left to us? And let me try and put a few stories together for you. I've worked as a music therapist since 1993. A lot of that was in geriatric psych, geropsych, which means psychiatry with the older generations. And often I see people who are impaired by dementia, Alzheimer's and the like, and what they carry with them isn't really armloads of stuff. Though occasionally I see some people carry things that they'll pick up around the nursing home or the Alzheimer's unit. What I really see them, hey Christina, what I really see are people who are carrying with them in their mind memories. Even in psychiatric hospitals that I see them check into the geriatric units, they're just carrying basic bundles. Sometimes it's just diapers, sometimes it's a handful of pictures, a photo album that the families put together to help them remember who they are and who's visiting them. But what they're really carrying around that is of any value whatsoever is the memories. Now, don't get confused that I'm talking about living in the past, because I'm not. But understand, it is a matter of what you're collecting. You'll notice my generation, we had malls. As a young boy, there was Palm Center down in Houston, which was one of the world's first malls that was air conditioned. And wow, it was really cool. And they had converted this outdoor kind of atrium mall into a mall that had air conditioning. It was covered, and it was really cool. And it was being in Houston, man, you really treasured that air conditioning. And then there was Alameda Mall, and up here, of course, they had North Park, and then there was an explosion of malls that happened. And now, where are those malls? They're just about all gone, except for North Park. Around here in Dallas, we have the Galleria, North Park. Preston, where I used to work, Valley View, where I used to work, are gone. They literally have leveled these malls to where they've made them something else and repurposed them. Why? Because the up-and-coming generations, yeah, there's the internet, but it's more along the lines of what they're really collecting. And the next generations that come up after us are really sharp on the idea that it is not stuff. It is not all this bric-a-brac. It is not all these things that we got to dust. It's not all these things that we have to pay for and then we just have to manage and then we see. What it really is the memories. And as I was going last night after hearing the news about Joanne and in her impending departure, I went through and created a folder on my computer of pictures, because I'm a bit of a shutterbug, and it's of course translated to Anna, my oldest, as well, and she takes lots of pictures too. And it was interesting, when they were very young I got them cameras, and I would look at their pictures so I could see the world through their eyes. It was like, what was that movie, Rain Man, where you saw at the end of the film all these pictures of what Raymond was taking pictures of. What are you collecting? And what do you find of value? Because what you fill your heart with is really what you're left with as you get older. Now, if you're an isolationist because of your depression, because of your poor sense of self-worth, then you don't have a whole lot in there that's something you can reach out for that's positive. It's mainly just fear-based. Okay? You have to be able to get out there. Join a bowling league, for Pete's sakes. Get on the meetup.com. Find some kind of underwater basket weaving. Join a church. Find some kind of organization or group that is like-minded enough to where you can start to exercise your social abilities and your social skills. And if you're a bit of a wallflower, if you're socially shy, I certainly can understand that, because I'm not comfortable in every single situation I get into. On the other hand, I have enough social handles that I can move enough so to be purposeful, to get what my basic needs are, and to often get what I want. And I love being around people like that. So, in conclusion, I sat there and looked through all these pictures, and I sat there and copied and pasted just hundreds of Joanne. And I'm looking at this life of when I knew her, because I met her back in '88. And they were always very, very welcoming people to me. And they knew my past, they knew what kind of person I was beforehand, and they still warily, I suppose, maybe in their hearts, but as far as how I knew, they welcomed me in. That is time well managed. That is forgiveness. That is purpose. That is boundaries. That is all these things that are mental processes, and not just stuff, not just junk laying around your house, not just random things that don't mean anything. They just, that you have to dust and take care of, that you have to make payments on, that you have to tend. Memories, which build a foundational understanding of who you are, like travel, like investment in other people, like investment in self in a class, in webinars, in books, in knocking on the people's door across the street. I'll tell you one more brief story, then I'll shut up, maybe. Across the street from me, right over here, you can see it, right? Okay. Across the street from me is a man whose family, he's a first-generation American. Okay, his name is Juan. And Juan has a brother that has a truck that he loves to play his music really loud on Friday nights. And for several years, while this man lived with his brother, you'd hear this bass note resonating and kind of shaking my house at all hours of the night. And every once in a while I'd go over there and, can you turn it down? I got to go to work tomorrow, type of thing. Well, finally, I decided to change my approach, and I'd start making it more social instead of more antagonistic. And I went over there, and as I went over, you could tell they were warily looking at me, like, here comes the old guy again, he's going to tell us to shut up. And as I walked over, I just said, hey, how's it going? Well, y'all having fun? Work over? Y'all off for the weekend? Oh, that's cool. Next thing I know, they pop over in the ice chest, and they offer me a cerveza, and we start to talk, and we sit down, and I understood most of what they were saying, and they certainly understood most of what I was saying. And I got to know these people. Now, his brothers moved on, but now Juan still heads out there on Friday or Saturday nights and just plays his music, and he sits up there with his son, Diego, and they're social. And I'll walk over and talk to him about the neighborhood, because he's been there now for about 16 years, and I've been here about 18 years. And we talk, and we're social, and we get to know each other. And we understand the real investment is time. And this man, which at first I kind of wrote off superficially, he turned to me just a couple weeks ago, and he goes, people who have known each other as long as we have should have invested our time, this is a quote, should have invested our time in getting to know each other better. And I was ashamed. I was really ashamed that I didn't have the wherewithal to be the one who reached out first. I said, you're right. So we're making a little bit more of an effort as we go forward. Culturally, we're quite different. On other ways, as somebody smarter than me once said, there is more alike about us than different. And that's the hinge, folks. That's the social handle, the action site that you can work with people. Stop. The media and all these other places want us to work on what we're antagonistic and what makes us different. Really? Start finding places where you can socially connect with people. That makes all the difference. Then you have yourself a life where you can go beyond just where you're at, and you can start engaging other people in such a way that your life grows and radiates beyond who you know, and that's called legacy. And though you may or may not care about legacy at this phase because of your diagnosis or the darkness you feel that you have, in reality, it's still there. Okay? It's like programming. Regardless if you're doing it or not, you're still getting programmed. Or regardless if you're building your legacy, you're still building a legacy. And you want to be out there to make that kind of difference. All right? Remember, every Monday night, we're going to be over here at Dayspring offices here in Irving. We have our Monday night Live Your Worth seminar workshop that we do. Information's on my website at ivorchester.com. You could also pick up your book there. I'm on the regular suspects at Instagram and Twitter and things like that. But also, yes, right here at Had Enough Guy on Facebook. Until then, I got a note here. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, somebody just waving at me. Until then, I really appreciate what you're doing. Thanks for coming in. Please, please spread this information around. Share this with others so that other people can know the value of the time well spent. All right? Until then, God bless. Be well. We'll see you out there.